This is Pete Moore on Halo Talks NYC with my friend Jeff Matlow. I am athlete living with entrepreneurial disease. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So you and I have known each other for several years, and you made significant progress with your business. So why don't you give our listeners a little background on imATHLETE and your vision of the future?
Yeah. I started imATHLETE because, one, I am an athlete, and the name seemed to fit me. It's like Lou Gehrig disease. Of course, he's gonna die from that.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a good. Yeah. Okay, keep going.
I saw an opportunity in the market for both consolidation of a fragmented industry in terms of events and technology that is catering to events and athleticism. And more people are doing athletics than ever before, and that continues to happen. And, here's an industry that has been slow to adopt new technology. Now, over the past few years, technology has, or the speed of innovation has increased in this industry. I think, we're at a really exciting time in the Halo sector. We've got more companies looking at consolidation of how do we work together to streamline services. You've got some of the best practices from other industries that are coming into this sector. And consumers, users, athletic people are looking for new ways to engage and new ways to stay healthy.
So when you start, take a step back and talk about, what the software and what the company provides, and what frustrations you saw in the market for you to, quit your music background and jump into this. Because once you get into this industry, you're never getting out. So
yeah, completely.
You know where that leads.
Like it's Godfather. Let me give you my quick background.
Yes.
So I have, as you mentioned in the beginning, entrepreneurial disease that I can't get rid of despite my wife trying to get it out of me. So I started off in the music business, started a record company. I started a marketing agency, and then with a few passions left after selling both of those companies, I saw great opportunity in the sports business. I'm an Ironman triathlete. I'm a marathoner. I've done a whole bunch of stupid type of distanced events. Mm-hmm. And, as I looked at what my life is like and what the need is in this market, I saw people are doing more and more athletic activity, even on economic downturns. 10 years ago, in economic downturns, people used to go to alcohol and to movies. Mm-hmm. Well, that's not happening as much anymore. People are going to fitness to feel better about themselves.
And it's also cost effective when you think about the cost per day.
Completely. It's extremely cost effective. I saw an industry that was, technology was severely lagging in many, many ways. And an industry that desired to move forward but didn't have the knowledge to do that. And so it was like the perfect storm for an entrepreneur.
How important do you think it is that you started this company based on your own personal frustrations and your personal participation versus someone looking at it from, hey, let's go and look at this industry and it's X size and it's got this fragmentation? Like I don't think you can teach that. I think you got to feel it.
I completely agree. Listen, I've been running for the better part of 40 years. I've been in triathlon for a few decades. I've been involved in governance just as a volunteer with the Olympic family for a couple decades. I'm a journalist in my free time, sports journalist. And, I never thought it could be a business for me because it was just something that I loved. And so it absolutely helps. Like from day one, me starting imATHLETE, I knew the lingo, I knew the dynamic, I knew what athletes want, I knew the issues with business. So it definitely helps. Now, on the other side of this, some of the team that I hired haven't been in the business, which is extremely important to me because as we're innovating, developing new technology, we're not looking at what other companies in this business are doing, but we're looking at best in breed. I'm doing e-commerce. Let me look at what Amazon's doing. Let me look at what Google's doing, or some of these, and let's take learnings from there. And so it's been a great balance of having me have deep knowledge of the business and somebody else like my CTO not.
So give us an example of one of your clients today and how they interface with imATHLETE.
So we work with thousands of clients and a lot of marquee events. We are in New York City now, so let's talk about Bike New York. Bike New York puts on the 5-Borough Bike Tour, which is, I believe, the largest cycling event maybe in the world. They get about 38,000 cyclists. And so we are...
Is it a race or is it a participating event?
It's a ride, a participating ride.
Okay.
Yeah, think of it like the New York Marathon, but on 2 wheels. So they close down.
Can I reserve a city bike for that, or do I bring your own bike?
That's a really good question.
It's got to be like there's got to be a level of anxiety. Like I got to get that bike and
yeah. You know, I don't. It's a good question about the city bikes. Okay. I'm not sure.
I've just became a city bike rider.
It's good stuff.
With my own helmet. Bring your own helmet.
Oh, that's good.
BYOH.
Do they have the scooters out here yet?
Not yet. I hope they don't, because there's enough things that you have to look around for.
Yeah.
They just put in a new bike lane on 29th Street, like in between the curb and the parking spaces, and like people aren't used to that. And this guy's whizzing by now.
Yeah.
So
this is not
the scooter places. Hopefully they'll be banned.
Yeah, I hope so too. So we, at the base level, we provide online registration for events. So all of Bike New York's participants and the 5-Borough Bike Tour participants will come through imATHLETE to register for the event. But beyond that, we will work as a technology partner with the company. So for instance, we are integrating with Blackbaud and Just Giving, a very large fundraising platform, so that as participants sign up for the 5-Borough Bike Tour, their fundraising page is created, and they can immediately go into the flow of raising money for a better cause. We also get very involved with marketing efforts, either engaging with a marketing agency as for their spends and making sure that we understand the data around conversions and transactions that come from their spends, help them determine their ROI. We have marketing channels on the site, or marketing channels on the site that they can help promote their events, as well as e-commerce platform.
Gotcha. So, what are some of the things over the years as an entrepreneur that you've learned? What are some of the key takeaways as you build this business? Because technology is constantly changing, and I used to run a technology company, invested a lot of money, 15 years ago, and I felt like the software was never done. And my partner was great guy, and we're still friends, but you can be an artist and the paint never dries. So how do you, as an entrepreneur, to other entrepreneurs that are listening, either prioritize, compartmentalize, or say, look, great idea, that's a 2020 idea?
Yeah. Nike had an ad a few years ago that always sticks with me, which is there is no finish line. And that is kind of the philosophy in my life and in the business is, yes, there's always innovation, and that can happen and that should happen. And in fact, we have the philosophy in the company, I have the philosophy that, we're either innovating or we're moving backwards. It's innovate or die, right? And, in order to keep moving forward, we have to keep thinking of new solutions to problems, and there's always new problems to have. So how do I prioritize? I actually have I send out a newsletter about industry trends or data or business trends. And my next one is about organization. And the way I do it is I call it Matlow's organizational method, or MOM. So I always listen to my mom. And it combines David Allen's Getting Things Done with Stephen Covey's Covey chart. And it's essentially, I prioritize my weeks, my days, and my months, and break everything down to tasks and give myself 4 to 6 tasks every day. And I'm asked, well, what are your most important things you have to get done? The most important things, it's a loaded question, because the most important aren't always the best for your business. Like, if there's a fire, that's the most important thing to get done, but that's not going to grow my business. And so I always look at the things I need to do as, what are the fires, the important or not important and urgent, and what are the ones that are strategic, where they're important and not urgent. And I always make sure I spend time, usually in the morning, on those important and not urgent things that are about growing the company strategically.
And when you prioritize those, you're an athlete,
Yep.
you know, deep down, and you know that you're running basically a marathon with no finish line. So how do you? I'm actually asking this question because I deal with this on my own when it comes to where do I put my energy towards, and I feel like I sometimes burn a lot of energy on my priority list going down sequentially versus, okay, which are the 5 things that are actually going to make a positive change or that need to really get done? And sometimes I say, all right, let me just go through this list in sequential. Or so how do you, as an athlete, because I think it's important, I do agree that organization and prioritizing is a difference between a great team that wins a lot and a team that kind of just is mediocre.
Yeah. You know, a lot of life goes back to Ironman training for me.
Right.
You know, first time you think you're going to run an Ironman or compete in an Ironman, it is daunting. You know, how are you going to swim that far, bike that far, run? But the reality is, like, it's like the frog in the boiling water, right? You put the frog in the water, it's fine, and you slowly turn up the heat, and eventually it'll stay calm and boil itself to death. Where, you know, you start off with a 2-mile run, and then you're doing a 3, and then you're doing a 5, a 7, and then all of a sudden you're doing the 20-mile run, and it's easy, it's simple, right? It's just part of the flow. And then you're on Ironman day. And so I look at it the same thing in business, right? Is that there is no finish line. You know, I've got to keep moving forward with the things, you know, I have goals of what I want to accomplish. What is it going to take to get to those goals? What do we need to do this year, this month, this week? And, you know, I'll get off track as much as the next person will. Mm-hmm. But I try to sit down at least, you know, Sunday nights, Monday mornings, and make sure I'm back on track with my...
And as long as we've known each other, it seems like you take a lot of meetings, and it seems like you're on the road a fair amount. So my conclusion to that is that you're out there listening. You're trying to figure out what becomes your biggest priority, or that you're in a lot of traffic and that you know that there's something good that's going to come about that. So talk about not standing still and not isolating yourself in your role.
Completely. You know, the movement has always been a theme in my life, and it's why I run. I think it was in Born to Run. The quote was, "If you can't solve a problem in a 2-hour run, the problem can't be solved." And, you know, something about it's like movement keeps me focused. And yes, I'm constantly on the road. I would never get through emails if it weren't for cross-country flights. And talking to people, reading. I'm a obsessive reader. You know, that's where ideas come from. And you know, they say every great idea starts with a crime. You know, the crime is usually, hey, somebody had a neat concept, and how can I take that concept, apply it to my business, apply it to this industry, and scale it? Mm-hmm. And I can't do that in a room all alone.
And then tell us a little about the team that you've surrounded yourself with.
I really like being around smart people. You know, it is somewhat cliche, I guess, but its reality is, you know, hire people smarter than you. Mm-hmm. And I want to hire people and hang out with people smarter than me. I love learning, and I want, for better or worse, I want to learn everything. And so I tend to have a very diverse group of people around me and that I associate with. You know, on my team, my head of technology was in the finance world, in social engagement, and a variety of other companies, none of which were sports. Brilliant technologist. In fact, I think he's officially Mensa. I haven't seen the results, but I believe he is. And, you know, a smart data guy, just really smart people to drive us forward. My job, I look at it as CEO, is not to sit and tell people what to do. It's to listen to ideas and filter them down to what is the right decision to make. And again, I don't want to be the one to come up with all the ideas.
And as I spend time with you and as I look at your software, and you're obviously powering the success of other people, and it seems to come out in how you talk about, you know, you're solving a frustration of the participant, mm-hmm. and then you're solving a frustration of the event planner, and it seems like some of the new components to your business, when we talk about the insurance, you talk about the processing, you talk about the ease of helping somebody raise money. It seems like your company is more of like a servant to like the frustrations of the market.
Okay. Completely. I always, TiVo, I don't know if TiVo's as cool now as the brand was before.
Is it still around?
There's one in my garage.
In your garage, but there's no television.
No, nobody.
Okay, that's fine.
But I have an old TiVo. I'll give it to you if you want it.
I'm good,
but
thanks.
I remember when I first got the TiVo, which I guess dates me, is I never realized that I was watching TV the wrong way. And until I got a TiVo and, oh, wait, I can watch a 30-minute show in 22 minutes, or I can, and never again do I see, I see some ads, but never again do I watch live TV except for sports. Mm-hmm. There are problems in every industry that, and especially in this one, that the people in the industry don't even realize that they have a problem with, mm-hmm. right? They're so used to doing something one way that they don't see there's a better way to do it. And that's what I get my kicks out of solving, and of understanding what people's problems are and then solving it, right? So, one problem, to use a example we talked about before, of people not finishing registration, right? So we have a shopping cart that automatically reminds people that they have something in their cart, mm-hmm. and gets them to finish registration, and a very low abandonment rate. We see that there is a problem, training, athletic training for running, cycling, triathlon events is still done with PDFs. Well, PDFs are neat, but it's really tough to get a notification out of a PDF. It's tough to have a social experience with a PDF. And, I run to work sometimes.
PDF will come after you.
PDF will come after you, yeah, exactly. I run to work every now and then. And, I can order breakfast. When I walk out of my home, I order breakfast on my phone. Mm-hmm. And then I race my breakfast to work. And, I could socialize that, my breakfast. I could track where my breakfast is. I can pay online. I can share it on Facebook. Mm-hmm. That's eggs and sausage, right? But you can't do this with training. So there's opportunities like this that, we know people are looking for the same type of experience they're getting in other areas. So let's just take those experiences and bring them to the Halo sector.
Gotcha. Thanks for using the term, by the way. I greatly appreciate it.
Love it.
So
do I have to pay you a royalty?
No royalties for the first couple of years. Royalty free until 2020 is going to be my phrase, right? I'll be like, I am the Halo guy. The last thing I want to talk about with you, because it's intriguing to me, as you talk about where your business started to where your business is today, you seem to roll out new services, and your clients seem to accept that you are the authority, and they trust that you can do all these other things. So how does part of that's probably how you feel and the confidence that your company has, but like to go into a large venue and say, hey, by the way, I know you do, I do your registrations, but I'm also doing your social, I'm doing your pictures, I'm doing your insurance. Like, give somebody just a little bit of a snapshot into like how you think about that and how you feel like you can sell that with confidence. Because I think some companies say, look, this is what I do. I'm just going to be best in class at this. But you seem to be comfortable moving your tentacles out, and it feels right.
Yeah. And nobody's asked me that question before. That's a really good question. And part of it is the role we play as a company and how I have the people in my company act. We at our base, the first thing we did is registration. It's process transactions, right? But we never positioned ourselves as a registration vendor. We always, there's, in your hierarchy, you've got vendors, you've got suppliers, you've got partners, and you've got strategic partners. We always position ourselves as a strategic partner of, we know the industry, we know best practices because they're coming through us, and we want to impart that knowledge to you. And so from that level, it makes it easier for us to say, hey, listen, here's best practice that's happening in e-commerce. We know you're having a problem. here's the solution that we've created. We have the new relationship with Sweatworks for photos and facial recognition. They don't have much traction in the endurance space. They do have traction in other spaces. So it allows us to say, hey, listen, we know photos are the biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenge in our industry now. We have created a solution. We've created a solution with a company that has proven it over years. So trust us in that we're choosing the right people.
So you're right. So you're basically leveraging the brand equity or the influence of someone else in their track record,
plus
and putting it under your umbrella as the trusted collaborator.
So when we partner, absolutely, we are making sure we partner with the best, and because it does reflect on us. And when we launch new functionality or a new feature, it's because there's a problem in the market, and we bring our clients in to help solve that problem. So they are part of every step of the way. So they take ownership as well, and it makes it a lot easier to sell in. And we have so many big clients too that we usually launch new products with the big clients because, hey, if Bike New York or Detroit or Vancouver is using it, why wouldn't your 100-person race?
Right. So obviously we're in a world of capitalism, and that's just how life works. And creating companies of value and then get paid for the value that's being created, or continue to grow what you're doing on your own. How do you're clearly not doing this to try and create something and then sell out. You're creating this for the long run, and this is basically a reflection or a mirror of yourself in this software. So for the entrepreneurs out there who are thinking about starting a company or are trying to build something of value over time and not trying to hit a trend or hit a buzzword, what's your advice to them to say, look, play the long game, do the right thing, and how do you define success in that period of like when there's not a transaction or there's not a sale process, but like, look, this is what I do every day, and how do you enjoy the journey or the run or the movement?
When I was starting my record company, I'd been in the music industry for a bit, and I talked to some people who were fairly successful on their own, and I asked them kind of the same question, and their response was, "Don't do it. It's a bad idea, and you'd be an idiot to do it." Okay. And the bottom line was, if I did it anyway, I was meant to, and I find myself, as people come to me, I kind of tell them the same thing. Listen, being an entrepreneur, starting your own company is a tough job. Mm-hmm. And there are amazing rewards and there's heart-wrenching problems, and they often happen at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it could change. It's very bipolar, right? One phone call could make you want to slit your throat or jump for joy.
My uncle used to say, try and keep your highs lower and your lows higher, and operate in like a slightly tighter band of emotional, distress or success, right?
And it's really, really tough being an entrepreneur. But the thing that helped me in various industries and essentially changing my entire career every 10 years is having passion for it and believing in what I do. Right. And why I'm doing it. And if my entire goal is I want to be a billionaire, then I'm in the wrong industry, right? I'm doing the wrong thing. I didn't get into music. I got into music because I love music and I love business. Mm-hmm. I got into this business because I love sports and I love business. And there was an opportunity. And it's about focus on your goals. Keep going. As long as you are pushing yourself forward, as long as you're moving towards your goals, good things will happen. As my favorite philosophers are Calvin and Hobbes, and
it's a cartoon. If anyone here does not,
cartoon.
Have never picked up a newspaper. You're a millennial.
Yeah, if you're a millennial. Calvin said the secret to success is being at the right place at the right time. But since you never know when the right time is, I figure I'll just find the right place and hang out for a while. And so, that's essentially what the philosophy is. Let's do the right thing. Let's work with the right companies that we can. Let's build a great product. And when the right time comes, we'll be ready.
Great. Well, Jeff, continued success. Look forward to be a part of it. Awesome to get some of your wisdom and knowledge here to our listener base, and you are now an official Halo ambassador. Welcome to the Halo sector.
Thank you.
I am
Go Halo.
athlete too.
Yes.
0.0. Later.
See ya.